Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy Monday to us, collective. Happy Monday to us. It is now August hold up, make sure it's the 10th, okay? Because with these retrogrades going on, there are things that we can't see that are affecting the things that we've always been privy to. So stay tuned in as we record the adjustments. Good morning, hello. Hopefully, you woke in good spirits and ready for some great information. I am not going to bother with the tarot this morning. This morning is for oracle messages. So please take what resonates and leave the rest behind. All right. So, collective, wonderful collective. Let's say condolences to those on, often leaving blueprints and plans that we're going to need along the way. All right? So, what if, what if I told you, or what if God told you exactly what you were coming here for? What if He told you you would be harassed, beat on, abused, all these things? What if He told you you had to do all these things to get to the other side? What if He told you you had to do all these things to get the blessing? Not after passing away, but to get the blessing here on earth. What if He told you you had to go through sticky weeds, reeds, you had to fight sharks and all these things? A lot of people, it was a mosquito just passed by, a lot of people would have given up right away. They would have given up right away. And I'm glad that mosquito passed by. Oh my goodness, this correlation, right? If you've ever had a chance to study how a fly prepares before it goes on its launch, somehow I kind of know it knows that it has a short lifespan. However, in that time, it's going to try to get as much in as possible. It's going to try to get as much treasure, which is food, which is nourishment. It's going to try to land on everything and have as much larvae as possible. Right? So, if that fly knew that it was going to be chased and smashed and so many things were going to be erected for its demise, do you think it would be sitting there with its little things going like this, rubbing its grubby little whatever you want to call them legs in anticipation? Do you think that a cricket would make so much noise if it knew it was you were going to seek it out and destroy it? See, that's the way our great creator works. He knows that if we were ever to understand our journey too much, a lot of us wouldn't do it. Some of us are still not getting out of a bed off of a short task list. Some of us can see some of the things that we're supposed to be doing and it tires us out completely. So imagine if God really gave you all the notes of which you've already passed through early. As soon as you got here, He just hit you with, all right, so you're going to fight with your sister, you're going to fight with your brother. These people aren't going to like you. They're going to seek this, they're going to do that, and the third. A lot of things wouldn't get done. So He gives us the information small bits at a time. Others are on a whole different timeline. It can be a blessing. Some look at it as a curse. I look at it as a gift or a tug or a gentle celestial nudge, letting you know that maybe you should move a little to the left. Okay, move it to the a little to the left, and boom. And sometimes you have so much going on around you, you don't get those quiet, gentle nudges, and suddenly you're in a catastrophe. And those nudges are lessons too, because Nine times out of a ten, there was a subtle, very, very subtle warning that could have saved you a lot of strife, a lot of struggle, a lot of this, a lot of that. So, someone mentioned a few readings ago, even though I've been living with these things all my life, that I have big eyes. Well, I didn't know that my eyes were decoration for me and you, but they were weapons for the Most High. And that's how our bodies are put together for the Most High collective. When He gives you gifts, He gives you gifts to be used. He also gives you free wills to see what you're going to do with them, just in case He has to take whatever He gives you back. Because He has to be sure that you're going to use them for what He wants to use them for, right? Sometimes He makes His strongest warriors go through things because we need to be able to explain to the others coming behind us what exactly happened, whether you should turn right, left, or whether you should do anything at all. There is a reason why we have levels. There's a reason why He allows different generations to exist at the same time, just so they can learn. A lot of us have been skipping these things. The stairway to heaven is certainly the people who have passed, our ancestors, and our lessons, and the appliance of it, I should say. Okay? So, channeling tonight, you've seen some people out, okay? There are some people who you're going to start seeing in rotation for a little while because they know the deeds that they've done, and they've got gentle nudges. You'll hear some of your friends say, male or female, life's too short. It's time for me to come out. What they're not telling you is that they have that gentle nudge that they don't have much longer. You see, tonight, you've seen a few of the OGs pop out. And everybody had a ball. Everybody treated it as though it was the best high school reunion. And maybe that type of energy was called for. Because there will be so many deep, gut wrenching tears when these same people cross over. See, collective, God gave us these big old eyes, and some of us mouths for a reason. He wanted us to see more than He wanted us to talk. He wanted us to be recorders in situations where they said God will not see. He never wanted you to call out everything. And this is why there are some people around you who are kind of offended. They're offended that you were paying attention. They're offended that you remember that conversation. They're offended that you remember that thing. They're offended that you never said anything. But that wasn't your job. How can one be offended because one's eyes function? Just as well as people will be offended because your ears work. The time that they're never offended is when you heard what they wanted you to hear. They'll never be offended when you saw how, not what, how they wanted you to see. So a lot of us were born with a great portion of eyes and a very stingy mouth. He put us here not so much as to be in the world, but around the world. He wanted us to be going through, functioning. He wanted us to experience this life. So things had to happen. We had to get some scars. We had to go through some ailments. We had to go through some adversities because we would never be able to be a good witness if we could not describe. So for a lot of us, we were given stingy mouths because it wasn't time for us to talk or outpour. Neither were they the people who needed the information. You are history's first recorder. Much like they gaslighted us with the Epstein files. What you really don't understand, thinking in micros and macros, is that the very people that it happened to were the files themselves. Sure, they wanted to see the audio. Sure, they wanted to see the video. But nothing is as important as the actual files themselves, which were the memories of the real human beings who experienced these things. And much like that little flashy thing on Men in Black, they had to do something very large to cause the amount of trauma it would take to make that many people so distracted and confused that they would not know that they were part of the files. Much like the cloud, once it goes up, it's stuck. Who created the cloud first? You got that right. It's the Most High. We get all our concepts from Him. We only bring them down and make them tangible. Yet, all our lives, we've been looking up at the clouds, wondering, not even realizing that that was the first prototype of what we have here now. Talk about an airdrop. So you see, there will be some people coming out. They know what part they played in the collective, whether they were the ones who were devising mischief in every avenue possible, using the very devices that God gave us here to make things a bit easier. You know, the cell phone, the GPS, the camera, the light, the traffic light. Oh yeah, the computer, the modem. Oh, the ethers, the 666, all of the things that we use to make things, to make those microchips. You know, all the computers have things that are soldered into them, and all those things together, all those elements together bring about a whole entire unit, and you press the button and magically it's there. And you forget all the intricate little details it took to make your computer and to make the images show up on the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's micro and it's macro, but they all are converted from one to the next. So yeah, there are some people coming out because they understand that their program is getting old, is aging out. It's almost like the first Windows program. Once you enough malware, you've become a threat to the whole system. And now there's forced purging of the system, I should say. There's a glitch. We have a problem in our program. Of course we do. It was funny to me when I was, before I signed on, how so many who came out of slavery, they made themselves a pact, not realizing that that pact went up into the heavens, which were the clouds, and it was heard. And it was a contract that was made ever so lightly, ever so gently, very passionately, because they were frustrated in the fields. And they said, when I get out of here and I manage to be free, I'm going to do them like they did me. And it's very, very interesting because the very same mold that we all come out of, which is man and woman, before we ever decide to pick a skin or a color or a pigment, before we really get here, we're all just a bunch of flesh. And we start with the heart, and then it forms into a bunch of stuff way before we even realize or know or told what color we are. God is so good. He really keeps us, he's very good at surprises and suspense. He keeps us all the way. It's a lot, it's a good journey, you know. It's a good journey. You gotta take it with a grain of salt because you don't know what he got for you. But you have to stay prepared. And the thing about some of us collective, we were supposed to be in the world, not of the world. We had to experience some of it, but we also had to keep our hands off of it. I know some of us, we got these hackles in us, and we got, you know, we got heckled, and we got harassed, and we got picked on, and we got isolated, and we thought, this person never gets in trouble when they react. This person, I've never seen them get the punishment that everybody says that they're supposed to get. But us collective, I'm just going to tell you right now, he holds us in a special regard. And sometimes that special regard doesn't feel so special. It feels like we get in trouble real fast in comparison to our counterparts. It's not because God is saying you can't do anything to them. What he's saying is, let me. And he's trying to get you to understand that he's still in control. And you need to talk to him before you move. See, the problem is we do have a jealous God, and we've been told this so many times, yet we keep trying to step on his toes. So then he fashions about 10, 15, 20 people to do the very same thing to us because he wants us to stay in alignment, because there are sentinels in every organization, every situation, every civilization. So you have to understand he has to keep the ones that he really put on here with the code. He put some of us here with a really ancient relic of a code, and it's in our DNA. And it shows up every time it up, and it keeps us restrained to the left of us, to the right of us, going off. And they call it liberation and freedom. And you're looking and you're like, okay, this person, all right, this is my time. I can let go like them. And then you're like, soon as you do it, whoop, whoop. And you're like, what the hell? I thought this was my moment. It wasn't your moment. It's the reason why he keeps us from joining the common group. Exactly. It's not that your father is picking on you, it's that he's keeping you away from the real big show. Well, it's the big show. Yeah, I like wrestling. I do. And I know that some of those are acts and their exercises and their dance and its choreography. But at this point, what is it? And how do you know my father doesn't know how to bust a move? He can give you the salsa. You understand? So some things are being choreographed. Some things are being staged. And the first person, the first director, the first producer, the first writer is the Alpha and the Omega. I am, you know what I'm saying? The great I am. The truth. So, hold on, collective. I know it feels unfair. These people get to steal. These people get to fight. These people get to unalive. These people get to live a great life off of blood money. And here you are, still being a good little saint, And everybody's looking at you like we're getting to it. What's wrong with you? You're a punk. You're weak. You're a sucker. You 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 ain't gonna get into this with us. Please, we gonna stun on you. We gonna have all the latest, and you gonna have that what you got. But nobody's paying attention that they got all that great stuff. And they gathered it all up. They said, put it all in here, put it in the bag. And they got it all together. And they came to see you with it. You and your nothing. You and your not so great poopy life that they told you wasn't even going to satisfy you. Yet still, while they're having all the greatest time of their life, they still, something about them still turns around and say, what are they doing? Why are they so happy? I got everything. Why are they so happy? You see what I'm saying? You see? It's a reason why he put you in the world, and he made sure, he said, keep your hands off of it. You notify you. Look at them. Look at them. And you look at you like, well, God, they look like they having fun. They look like they having. And he say, and you like, but they having fun. They told me. And they survived last weekend. That's what they did. That you said that they survived. He said, I let them survive to see if you was going to take your dumb ass over there. Because you like temptation. See? You see? And then it just gets the very next weekend. You wake up to a whole newsletter. And the people who you said you were about to go over there with, they're the top story. And then you go and take a rest and God tap on you and say, see what I was saying? And you look down and you realize you need to pray because he really pulled you out of a situation where you could have ruined your life. It don't take that long. It take about 10 months, a whole bunch of hours and a whole bunch of pushing just for a person to be taken away in a split second by something unplanned, something unruly, something that God allowed somebody to make because we all got free will. He just wants to see what you're going to do with it. So hold tight, collective. Our hands are being basically tied so that we don't get in trouble. I know it feels unfair watching all the rest of the kids run outside and you sitting there in the window like, why I can't go out there? But then you get to be inside in the warm and it done rained and the kids running back in and none of them have skin on their knees. Everybody done fell and scraped and got raspberries. And you the only one with nice knees. Sometimes you got to be the one preserved so that you can tell the stories. I know what had happened. They all went outside. Him downstairs said go in. He ain't watch them. I was in the window the whole time. Him let them go outside in the rain and play, and it was dark, and he didn't see. He wasn't looking. He didn't tell them kids no, stop, nothing. I stayed in the house. You can't even tell why you stayed in the house, because everybody going you crazy. God ain't say nothing to you, little girl. God ain't say nothing to you, little boy. You ain't getting no nudge. You ain't have no feeling. God is only there on Sundays when the preacher says he's here. God is only here on Saturdays when the lady with the Tylenol looking shoes come down with the dolly attached to her head and say God is here. But no, the little baby who spoke wisdom even before even knowing what the child is saying, they can't be sitting there talking to God. No. Very dismissive. The very same child that some of y'all said was a miracle, because some of y'all said y'all couldn't have babies. Then next thing you know, boop, pregnant, and you like, look at God. For whatever reasons you said it. But you remember them couple of chicks you said you couldn't have kids by. And sometimes you knew you could have kids. You just didn't want her to know if you were really the father. And you were hoping that she was promiscuous enough that you could get by. Some of us are here to bear witness out loud. Or maybe they do. They just never think you remembered because God didn't bless you with the mouth to say to them. He didn't give them that access, that key card. He put a firewall on you so that you would tell them what they needed to know in their time. God put you on a whole nother timeline when it comes to your information. Some of the information you don't even know you know until God start asking and pulling that information about you. So, there are some people coming back around. There are some people about to start coming out because they have to put on face for the next generation. They have to save face. Some of them are going to start pouring out and trying to tell stories. It's like they're trying to make up time for things that they have never said that they should have said a long time ago. Some of you guys are going to start getting confessions, and some of them you're going to intuitively know by the eerie, heavy feeling in the room that they know that their time is near. And some of them stories are going to be a signal that your time is near and you are the younger person. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a path. I was born into somebody's life in December. After so many things had happened, I was prepped and prepared by fire, flame, and fire. I'd been through enough cycles with someone, so to speak, that I was inevitably prepared. Did I know? No. Did I know I was being practiced? No. Did I know I was in training? No. No. I'm telling you the truth. I didn't know. All I know is that phantom conversations started popping up, conversations that I did not know that I had still maintained were still locked into my brain. What I'm saying to you is be careful. Don't take for granted your etymology, your tissue, your soft memory tissue. Don't take for granted your brain. This is why I encourage you, I implore you to take advantage of the health that you have now. You won't get it again. A certain person was mentioned around me very, very often. However, he was never shown to me, which makes me believe now that I am paying attention to the information that I am logging, that that person was covert. That person, not only were they covert, and it was almost never meant for that person to be put in front of my face, but the time in which that person was presented to me, it was supposed to be presented to me as though a dangling carrot. However, God had other plans. What's up, Doc? He had other plans. He changed it around. However, the players almost never know their parts until the game master takes a seat. This man's name was mentioned so many times around me. However, this person's presence was kept from me by a person that thought that they were being very strategic, but they were strategically ruining their lives as they were sitting there planning to ruin mine. It's very interesting how my love life became the crux and the catalyst for everyone's greatness. They try to use a lot of the collective's sacred roots. They try to use relationships and romance because those were the things that would separate you, that would put them closer to your things and separate you from their things, from your things, because they would become the fixture and the barrier. They would become the fence between you and your freedom. So, sometimes you really don't know your part until you're put into play. And it's not always the way that you think. It's never going to be the way that you think, okay? The only thing you need to remember about Disney are the soundtracks and the eyes. They're important. They're important, okay? They have a lot of lessons, right? If you watch Disney, any one of the subsectors of Disney, you understand that there's a duality in majority of everything. Everything that is for kids is for adults, and vice versa. One is because we're all one. All of us started off as these little people, and we all grew up into these big stupid people. Our ignorance begets us. We were all born somewhat geniuses because we knew enough to know that we needed to learn. We needed to know what to do with that spoon, that fork, that knife. We needed to know what to do with these things. A lot of us put the things in our mouths until someone trained us to look at it and do other things with it before we decided that it had a taste because it had a color. So you're paying attention to the senses, how the senses are, how our senses go from primal to complex. Some of us have been so happy and gratified with our primal senses that we've never really comprehended the complexity. Okay? So there are some of us who did grow up but are not grown. See, your palate and your senses have to follow suit. Now, if your palate and your senses stay immature, if they stay in the primary colors, if they stay in the safety zone, then they never travel to maturity. And maturity is scary. It's a little bit, gives you a little bit of anxiety because you've never been there before and you have to adjust off of every level. That's just like when you move into a new house. You don't automatically get comfortable. You make yourself at home. There are usually some things that have to be brought in to make it a natural situation. Usually when you get to a new house, not unless somebody's already been there, you got to buy toilet paper. There are essentials. Okay? So collective, as we go through, remember, we have been preloaded with a plan that our Father is playing out through us. So when you feel as though you are being restrained while everybody is allowed to go crazy, please know that that is not being done to you. It is being done for you. I remember mentioning do not detain, the do not detain. There's a reason why some people are allowed to go hard. They're allowed to go far. And you're like, this person hasn't been put down like a rabid dog yet. Yet you throw gum on the curb and whoop whoop. You're like, officer, I had no paper to put the, hold up. Pay people. And he's at bingo right now. Oh. And you're like, this gotta be crazy. He keeps me out of the way for the smallest things, yet I've seen the most heinous things, and this person is down the street smoking a loose one right now with no fear of detainment. How can it be that I'm in trouble for such trivial things? No, you're not in trouble. You're under another kind of witness protection. See, he has to keep you away from temptation. He has to keep you away from the fleshly desires that would ultimately put you in a situation much like them. See, when God is building a case, he does not detain for little small infractions, especially when he really wants to get you going. And when I realized the part that I played, I went back to some of my dreams and I realized that I wasn't really surrounded by oodles and oodles of people in my dreams. Growing up, I knew I would be teaching. I knew I would be writing. I knew I would be speaking. I knew certain things, but what I didn't see was a lot of people there. So, it is true for me that I'm not going to be surrounded by a crowd. I've never been very cliquish either, so that works for me. But the thing about it is, all the people that I did see, he didn't tell me that those were the people I was there to witness. I was there to witness whole entire family units commit ultimate betrayals to God himself. I saw sisters betray sisters. I seen brothers betray brothers. I seen all of the family dynamics. No matter how the angle was, I was there to witness them. He allowed some of it to touch me, but not in a way in where it would destroy me and I wouldn't be able to recount every last detail. See, yes, those things were horrible, horrible. But so many other people have gone through so much worse and so much more. And they will still continue to go if we don't tell our parts, if we're not there to tell exactly and describe exactly what happened in those dynamics. So I do understand my story is being written. God is really a good producer. Like method acting? Really? Like he created method acting. I like it. Improv could never be so, but it is so. So you see, much in a way, a police officer can only really lock up one criminal at a time. And then we get to the next level, which is a detective. And then we get to the next level. And then we get to the next level. And it's like he made his own agency. And he said, I want this information collected by any means necessary. But I know my children, because all of you are my children, both dark. And I know how my children will treat you. If they know what you're there for, if they know what you're looking at, if they know what you're going to say, I know what my children will do. So what I'll do is this. I'll enter you into a program that you know nothing of and know nothing about. I'll tell you nothing about what you're looking at, yet I'll give you the resources to look at much. And I'll also situation to where your portal is stingy. You'll have a default program to where we'll understand what's going in and what's going out of the inbox because I know my children. And because I love my collective who I've collected to do a certain thing for me, I have to remove all these things. I had to remove guilt. I had to remove shame. I had to remove lack. I had to remove all these things from you small bits at a time because if my other children, the children of the dark, should ever pay attention, they will see how much I prepared you for your interaction with them. And we already saw what happened between Cain and Abel. I remember how I blessed him, and his brother took him because of the blessing, not realizing but that because they were related, that the blessing was for both of them, but something hardened in his heart because I know my children. When I saw that look in his eyes, that look of envy, that look of jealousy, that look of hurt, that look of pain, because he couldn't produce the same thing and the same look upon me that produced on his brother, he wanted to destroy his brother. I would have rather Cain be upset with me than his brother, who I put on the earth to be his helpmate. So I'm not going to do that again. The last time I allowed both children to see the same exact vision, it was destroyed and sabotaged. So I know now what my children need, and you need not know until it is time. God knew the same way we came up with that saying, don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing, and the right hand know what the left. I really do believe, honestly, that that's part of where that came from. Because some people, if they are made privy to all the things that you're supposed to do, and it's nothing like what they have on their list, jealousy, envy, strife, blood guilty hands will come about. And he knows his kids. So some of us collective, he had to keep making us go the ringer just like the kids that he was checking on the whole time. Every time you got in trouble, it wasn't because he was putting you in harm's way. It was because he was making sure that you stayed in character. Because he remembered what happened between Cain and Abel. They both had their list, and they both had transparency. They both had their list to compare. And every time Cain felt some kind of way, he gave a certain look at Abel. You think God didn't see? And I know by that design, he decided to design something a little different for the 144. He said, oh, I'm going to make sure that they got to play their part. And how they play their part, they won't know. He gave us the look of innocence. Some of y'all thought we were damn fools. They love me. They stupid. They pay for that. They dumb. They went for that. Oh, you a sucker. I'm going to make you happy. Psych. And God said, go on cry. Go on kick a can. Make them feel special. I need them to. I need to know how they're going to deal with riches at every level to see, because I am tired of them sabotaging the blessed ones. I don't want them to see your blessing before it's ready for you. And that's when he started preparing buffets in front of your enemies. You just gotta hold tight. You gotta stand the line. You've got to toe the line. You've got to stay in place. This is why I keep saying temperance. It is not that it happened, it's how you react. Okay? It's how you react. There were things sent up against you, and some of them actually prevailed. Sometimes they prevail not because God is not on your side. They prevailed because, one, you're playing a part. And if you always get out of it, they're going to know that you have his hand. They're going to know that he's in the room. So he's got to let some things slide. And some things he allowed to happen so that you don't come out a bag and you don't go rogue. Sometimes he's got to let you know who's in control. Stay the course, you're right. You've got to navigate this thing very carefully, or else he'll keep making you stay down before he let you up. Because the last time, after Noah did all this tireless work, at the end of the day, when he turned around and he looked at the young woman that his child brought upon the ark, and he seen that she was heavy with child, and he cried out in pain. He almost went crazy because he had done everything his father had told him to do, yet his son faltered in instruction. He brought a female heavy with child upon the boat, upon the vessel, and she was indeed impregnated by, okay? The whole point in the ark was so God could wash the place clean, yet one had came through. There's another story in where it was still infiltrated. So we have Cain and Abel, and now we have Ark when the Canaanites were born, and that's where the Canaanites came from, and that's why Noah did start being an alcoholic, because he felt as though he did everything, but the one thing he did not succeed in was successfully passing clear instruction to his son and be taken heed to and be hearkened to. His son had brought something on the boat that was an abomination. That was the whole point in the cleansing. So see, when God comes, you will not know the time, the moment, or the hour. You will not know the avenue. You will not know the form. You will not know. It was funny how when I watched the Odyssey, which was a wonderful film, by the way, that what the guy said when he comes home, don't go straight through the front door. Pass round about the city. Do your rounds about the city. And I believe that this is God's way of doing his rounds about the city before he does his big one again. Because we've all collectively seen whole families that we've been in, families that we've participated in, families that we've broke bread with, families with kids that we've brought up that we automatically and intuitively knew something's not going to be quite so right. He let us witness this so that when he asks us at the end of days to pour out our bodies, our minds, our hands, our feet, our tongues will pour out nothing but the God's honest truth. And he's not coming for one at a time. He's going to smite whole units, because whole units have been infiltrated. This was the era where they learned how to concentrate on the children. They started with the men, then they went to the women, and then now they said it's the children. Because there's no way to become an adult unless you are first child. And if you can't bottleneck the situation at the children, then we're all lost. Because surely the children have to pass through to become adults. Some of us were put here to bear witness to every age and how they were perversed, how they were compromised by the teachings. There's somebody right now aimlessly teaching their child some kind of occult magic, some kind of occult ritual Not really letting the child know exactly what they're putting their hands in, but they that sort of thing to keep happening so that it becomes a aimless program, so that it goes on autopilot, so that they don't know that they're selling their generation way before time. Some of these children aren't even 13 before they've handled things that they had no business touching. And it is not because that was their aim, it's because their innocence and their purity. It's because of their trust. It is because of what we say from the very beginning. Oh, mommy's going to love you, daddy's going to love you. And for some children, they go with that program. But for some of us collective, it was something about the way they said it, something about the way they blinked, something about the way they didn't burp you or did burp you too rough, too aggressively, didn't pick you up. It was something about whatever interaction that lets you know everybody else seems to be okay with their mom and dad, but I'm going to keep an eye on mine. It's something like that. You inherently know, but everybody kept gaslighting you and say, oh, that's your sister, that's your uncle, that's your cousin, twice removed. But they love you. You have a bond, you share blood. Only for you to find out that the people who they said to you, who they described to you, should be the closest to you, would be the ones that would be close enough to betray you, the ones that would be close enough to infiltrate you, the people that would be close enough to compromise you. So your family is your first study. Your family is your first assignment, your first job. You got to figure out whether you're meant to be there or not. Are you like them? Are you aligned? What are you going to do? And you have to learn the temptation thereof. You have to learn, are you tempting? Sometimes I really believe God made a lot of the collective very tempting in a lot of ways, just to see what people do, to see others, to witness how they salivate, how they covet, how they plan, how they plot. Sometimes I really do. God gives us an extra razzle dazzle to torture others. It makes us very unaware of it so that we can unabashed and unbiasedly judge what's going on. We're like, are you cool? I mean, I ain't bad looking, but you look like you right risk it all. Did I call 911? It seems like it's going to seem like you're being put in a grab bag all the time. It's going to seem like you're being set up all the time. But you have to be aware and you can't let things happen. But he also wants you to be trained up. He wants you to acknowledge. He wants you to put in some of the work. Yes, God got your back. But he also wants you to be able to enact some things. He wants, look, prayer without works is just lazy. Okay? He don't want you to be a sitting duck. Sometimes he want to see what you're going to do in comparison, because temptation works both ways. Okay, I put this in the room. Are you going to take it? Are you going to become just like them? Or are you going to keep your eyes on me? Because I didn't say, I used to hang with the hookers in them. I used to hang with Sam and them. That's what Jesus said. I used to hang with all of them, the blind man, all of them. But what happened was, when I came out, they was changed. I wasn't changed. And this is what he also wants you to do. He wants to see what you can do to a room. Are you going to go in the world, seep into you? Or are you going to go out and seep into the world? Will hearts be heavier when you leave the room, or will hearts be lighter? He checking you the same way he checking them. And sometimes y'all doing two different things in the same dang room. I ain't never seen a saint in the bar. Well, you ain't never looked. Who's going to know how to get them out of there if they never go in there and see what the hell is going on that they need to stop? But you're judgmental. Just because your eyes see don't mean you know what's going on the underneath. Right? And there's a reason why assumption starts with those three letters. And I think that's why those three letters are in the Bible. And I think that's why those three letters also describe one of the most ancient animals that we still need today. Oh, you're right. It's a donkey. You thought I was going to say it. I would on any other occasion, but a donkey, a very ancient animal. It also represents the Republican Party, which is wild because I would think it would go the other way around, but those are just my opinions. The elephant is a wonderful animal. That is the one that doesn't forget, but it's afraid of a little teeny mouse. Well, at least that's how the stories go. A huge elephant with big abilities can stomp on any wonderful memory, but a little small mouse can make such a big, dangerous animal stampede. Yet we have the stubborn donkey who cannot be moved by anyone else, God, or its master. I'll let that sink in for a minute. So you see, collective, it is not like he wants you to be a sitting duck. And sometimes he actually wants you to come out of a bag. He wants you to defend yourself. He wants to see how you pick up the rock of David, how you wield the sword of Arthur, okay? Are you worthy of the gifts that he gave to you? Are you susceptible to temptation? Will you just be using his thing for politics? You just gonna be out there say, look what I got, that. Raise the roof, raise the roof. No. And this is why us collective, we are under a whole different judgment system. It does seem unfair at times because you're looking and you're like, why is he allowing these things to happen to me? And your enemies are laughing and they're like, oh, your God is allowing, oh, I'm getting at you. And then one day you look and you're smiling and you hear your enemies no more. You not even knowing that that was the last laugh they were going to get. And he needed to see how they celebrated your crying out. Sometimes he brings you to so that he can see how thirsty, how the desire was, how the appetite was stoked, how people their stomach just because they wanted to devour your feelings, your life, your plans, your smile, your happiness, your health. They wanted to devour it. So sometimes God served them up a good old plate in front of everybody. And he makes it a public thing. He's like, okay, everybody's looking. Sometimes he gets your enemy to go in and invite people. He like, go and tell your friends. Tell your friends you about to get it. Tell your friends you gonna get it. You gonna get it. He say, tell your auntie. And sometimes he'll give your enemy enough money to buy that outfit that they always wanted. Sometimes God is really, really funny. He will fund your enemy. He will give them the money and actually help them spend it. Okay, you're going to get the best this, you're going to get the best that. Because sometimes he needs them to have the worst, best time of their life. And he needs you to witness it. And sometimes he get him all that money and you'll get something on a discount. Or you'll find something in the back of your closet that you ain't worn in a long time, but when you look at it, it just looks so new. And when you show up to the event, everybody be like, oh, wow, you look really good. And your enemy sitting there dripping in diamonds and dripping in this and dripping in that, and they like, I'll let them live today because I'm stunting. And you just, okay. You happy with what you got because you ain't had to spend nothing. You found this in the back of your closet and it looks pretty new, and it's new to everybody else because nobody's seen it. Meanwhile, your enemy stunting, popping bottles, doing all of what they want to do because they tell themselves, I had the money, I got the fame, I got everybody looking. I told all my friends, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have nothing. I made sure they couldn't do nothing like what I was doing. The whole time, the collective, the chosen, they got that suit that they've been had. I mean, it might be old to you, but it looks new to everybody else because nobody's seen it. Collective got some perfume. They took extra time washing up and got their hair just right. Got they line up, they fade, they waves just right. And the enemy then decked themselves out. All their friends then got a rental and bought a new car. All sorts of stuff. The bells and whistles. Everything to stun on you. And God gave them all that in front of your face. One, he wanted to make sure you weren't going to get mad with him if he blessed your enemies in front of your face. Yeah, because that's how he do. He wanted to tip you and see if you was going to be on disgruntled and come out of a bag because he let your enemies shine a little bit. That's when he gets some of y'all. Some of y'all crash out when he give y'all enemies a little bit of rhythm. You go grab a gun. You don't deserve this. You didn't do it. And then you mess up your blessings. See? That's why he keep doing you dirty like that for little small things, because he wants you to hold the line. Because he's got to stoke your enemies' ego. He's got to get them into supreme placement. Because sometimes a little tap, they gonna go right back to their action. I only got to do a year for stealing this. I can do a year. I can sit a year. You see what I'm saying? They don't want that. They don't. 5 years. Sometimes he don't want them to do time at all. Sometimes you don't even know the thing that he got hooked up for. All he know is that he needs you to mind your manners while he do his big ones. So sometimes you're going to be looking like the underdog in front of your enemies, and God is going to look like God is coming through for your enemies and treating you like a stepchild. It's going to look that way sometimes. Trust me. But there's a blessing and a lesson. You just got to toe the line. Don't come out of a bag. Don't try to fight. Sometimes when your enemy getting blessed like that, and you would think because they getting blessed like that, they wouldn't have no need to mess with you. No, they gonna be petty. They gonna send one of their friends to come gaslight you. You know, they gonna try to mush you, try to have somebody come bump into your drink, anything. Like I said, God know the enemy trifling. You know that he angry. You know all that stuff. He's looking for all that. He's also looking at you to make sure that you're not going to be disgruntled, that you're not going to lose faith that your time is coming, because your heart is being weighed. As every time he put that enemy heart on the scale, yours go on another one. And it's going to feel like he wants you to suffer in contradiction to your enemies, but it's not quite so. He just wants you to hold the line, because you're going to be the example. You're going to be the testimony. You're going to be the one to say, I watch bop, 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 the bop, bop, and then yada mean, and then bam, and then bigger the boom, and then wow. I just told a hood story. I graduated. You know what I said, but I ain't said nothing. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes the enemy is going to get blessed in front of your face, thinking that God is putting them on a buffet in front of you, but oh no, you have to witness the downfall. You have to be there for them highs, because when them lows come, the enemy gonna hate that you actually could tell the truth of the journey, the details and everything. The enemy gonna hate the fact that you could say, yeah, in the midst of all that, while they was getting blessed by God, they really took some time out to be petty to me. And ain't nothing never stopped them from coming and bothering me and taking account that God was blessing them. No, none of that. God was giving them everything. And at no time when they was receiving their blessings did they stop. So once all them blessings get, that's when it gets snatched. One day they sitting by the pool eating cherries and berries, and then whoop, ATF, open up, and you was worried. But one day they get that phone call, we're gonna need you to come and witness and confirm. And the whole time you was worried. Or driving, running along in my automobile. Ah! Boom. That was a pretty foreign car that was. Gone too soon. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So you don't get upset. You don't get too jumpy. Don't get anxious. Don't give up hope. Don't give up faith. Your time is coming. Sometimes your blessing ain't got to be as public. Because he remember last time he blessed your ass publicly. Every last person came out of the damn woods up from under rocks trying to get to your blessing and skipped right over theirs. So some of us collective, we're going to be blessed publicly, and some of us collective are going to be blessed privately, depending on how your journey went. Because God knows his children. He was there for Cain and Abel. He also seen what drove Noah to drink when he saw that the instructions he had definitely given to everyone in his family still got infiltrated by the very abomination he was trying to eradicate. So stay vigilant, stay woke, stay alert, because I believe that my other half, it was not that dark-skinned one. It wasn't Dre. It wasn't you. It was a false read. It's funny because me being the collective, you don't know sometimes how your Cain and Abel moment gonna come. Sure, I could have blamed my Cain and Abel moment on my siblings. I could have blamed my Cain and Abel moment on what happened between me and my firstborn, because we got separated in this whole spiritual war. I could have blamed it on all that. But my Cain and Abel came in the way of romance, because that's how the enemy decided that that's how they were going to destroy me, because that's how the enemy had decided to come through in this lifetime. So if I'm considered the earth angel, then I surely laid with the fallen one. And it was the fallen one that was sent into me. I remember when my supervisor, I was doing a different type of human service. I spent so many years, over 19 years, doing one type of human service. I wanted to spend the last few years doing another. So I wanted to go administrative. And when my supervisor passed away, she gave me a Keurig machine. She gave me a Keurig machine, and she explained to me who her son was, and she told me, and it seemed as though she was telling me that she wanted me to get myself together because she was going to send me someone who I was supposed to marry. However, the world had eaten him up and had infiltrated him, and temptation had certainly met him, because a lot of times when God puts certain holy situations, matrimonies together, he also releases a few things to test the waters. I did in fact come together with the person, my holy, my spiritual, my holy union. However, mounds and legions were put in between myself and interacted one time. God has a way. And when that other half became compromised, I also had to hold still and let that happen. I had to let that person be consumed in front of me so that I could know what it looked like for an angel to fall. I had to watch that. I had to not move. I had to stay in good graces. I had to keep the attitude of gratitude the whole entire time as I watched family after family be torn apart by their own ignorance, by their own devices, by their own grandeur, by their own minds, by their own deeds. I had to sit there and watch, knowing the answers, and watch you all destroy yourselves under the guise of destroying me. So no, I'm not angry. I'm aware of what my part is and what your part was, and that it's coming to an end. Acceptance was the last bit for me. He prepared me to watch people who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. He prepared me to stand apart, to sit apart, to pull myself apart. He instructed me to stand on the outskirts. All these things happen, and I'm not allowed to interfere, lest I be placed with you. So collective, stand the line, maintain your position, else your blessing and your life. Hopefully you've understood this oracle message. There will be no tarot this morning. It was not necessary. Your life is the cards you've been dealt. Tangibly and poetically, you have to understand you have to be more gentle with your life journey, your life spans. This life is a gift, and every day it is loaded with benefits. You can change the trajectory of your life if you listen and you answer the call. Everybody's not going to get the call. Everybody's not going to pick up. But for those of us who are aware, play your part diligently and remember temperance. Now I'm going to give you all Psalm 78. It is a little lengthy. If you are not staying for the whole entire thing, then Godspeed, God bless. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, safe travel wherever you're going. Okay? But for us right now, we're going to stay in counsel with the Lord. All right? Okay. So Psalms 78 in its entirety. And then we're going to part ways as healthy and wealthy as the good Lord pleases for us. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Let me get my hat. Because I've got to have a hat. For some reason, Sybil Lawrence. Grandma, grandma, Lexi, Lexi. Grandma, grandma, Lexi, Lexi. Call and response. Like a moth to a flame, there's a moth flying around them. Do you see it? It's like it just came. And I saw a huge monarch butterfly the other day. We were at the park and I was sitting there on the swinging, and it just passed by me on my right side. And I was counseling this young girl, and she was telling me all these things, and she was very quick about telling me. And it appeared as though all the counsel I was giving her was falling on deaf ears. She just wanted someone to hear her stories. And I listened. And sometimes, as a collective, you'll see danger on a person that has no clue. And as much as you want to reinforce it and tell them, they won't get it. It's at this moment that I realized that whatever I said to the girl, she's still going to make an example out of herself. And sometimes, as a collective, you also have to understand that you can't attach to that. And when I say that, I'm not saying be cold. What I'm saying is you can't attach yourself to the outcome, or else your heart will be pulled in so many different places for so many reasons. And you have to understand that the Lord giveth and he taketh. And there will be people that you can save, and there will be people that you cannot save, and there will be people that you tried to save, and you'll keep it in your mind that I told them and I said it and I pleaded and I gave them the answer. Why didn't they listen? And we're going to tell you to stop. We're going to tell you it's arrogant. We're going to tell you let God do his job and you just get up out the way, because you're going to hurt yourself endlessly trying to step in a place and where you weren't sent. Because sometimes when God is meant for you, giving you things, sometimes when you go to speak, it'll fall on deaf ears. And it's not for you to get upset. It's to see how your heart is either going to be heavy or light after that interaction. Yes, you tried. And sometimes you may feel like you failed. No, you didn't. You don't know what's in that person's journey, what's in that life, what's in that path, what person's purpose is. And yes, you can't save everybody because it's not your job. It's God's job. If something you said made them follow a certain way, if something you said changed the trajectory, then that's fine. And you still give that to God. But mostly important, when it doesn't play out the way that you thought that it should play out, that's also given to God. That's why they say surrender so much, so that you can be light and not heavily burdened and not given baggage and not feeling guilty for things that were out of your control, that was never meant to be controlled by you in the first place. So forgive yourself, untether yourself, unlock yourself from events and results that you have no control over. They're out of your realm. That's a lot of people are saying these things are above me, and it's true. And that's why when I think about that situation and I realize that I may or may not have gotten through to the little girl, but what I can say is I said a thing, and it was meant for both positivity, but also it's not my job. That little girl got a mother and a father. That little girl also has God, if anyone has taught her so much. I tried to intercede, but it is not on me whether she survives or not. And I have to be okay, because that's not my job. God is the Savior. I'm a student. I'm going to be forever learning. Whether it be positive or negative, that's how we all should take it. All right, so Psalm 78. I know I've been heading here for quite some time, so let's get through with this, okay? Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide from their children, showing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord and his strength and his wonderful works that he hath done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, turned back in the day of battle. They kept not the covenant of God and refused to walk in his law, and forget his words and his wonders that he had showed them. Marvelous things did he in the sight of their fathers in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters to stand as an heap. In the daytime also he led them with a cloud, and all the night with a light of fire. He clave the rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as out of the great depths. He brought out of the rock and caused waters to run down like rivers, and they sinned yet more against him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. And they tempted God in their heart by asking meat for their lusts. Yea, they spake against God. They said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? Behold, he smote the rock that the waters gushed out, and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Amen. Therefore the Lord heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in God and trusted not in his salvation, though he had commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven, and had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. He caused an east wind to blow in the heaven, and by the power he brought in the south wind. He rained flesh also upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as the sand of the sea. And he let it fall in the midst of their camp round about their habitation. So they did eat and were well filled, for he gave them their own desire. They were not estranged from their lust, but while their meat was yet in their mouths, the wrath of God came upon them, and slew the fattest of them, and smote down the chosen men of Israel. For all this they sinned still, and believed not for his wondrous works. Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and endured early after God. And they remembered that God was their rock, and their high God, their Redeemer. Nevertheless, they did flatter him with their mouth, and they lied unto him with their tongues, for their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity, and destroyed them not. Yea, many a time turned he his anger away, and did not stir up all his wrath. For he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passeth away and cometh not again. How often did they provoke him in the wilderness, and grieve him in the desert? Yea, they turned back and tempted God, and limited the Holy One of Israel. I'm going to say that again. This was verse 41. Yea, they turned back and tempted God, and limited the Holy One of Israel. They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy, how he had wrought his signs in Egypt, and his wonders in the field of Zoan, and had turned their rivers into blood, and their floods that they could not drink. He sent divers sorts of flies among them, which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them. He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost. He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation and trouble by sending evil angels among them. He made a way to his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence. He smote all the firstborn in Egypt, the chief of their strength in the tabernacles of Ham, but made his own people to go forth like sheep and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. And he led them on safely so that they feared not, but the sea overwhelmed their enemies. Amen. And he brought them to the border of his sanctuary, even to his mountain, which his right hand had purchased. He cast out the heathen also before them and divided them in an inheritance by line and made the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tents. Amen. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High God and kept not his testimonies, but turned back and dealt unfairly like their fathers. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow, for they provoked him to anger and with their high places and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. This he was wroth and greatly abhorred Israel, so that he forsook the tabernacles of Shiloh, the tent, which he placed among men. And delivered his strength into captivity and his glory into the enemy's hand. He gave his people over also unto the sword and was wroth with his inheritance. The fire consumed their young men, and their maidens were not given to marriage. Amen. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows made no lamentation. Amen. When the Lord awaked as one out of sleep, and like a mighty man that shouteth by reason of wine. Amen. And he smote his enemies in the hinder parts. He put them to a perpetual reproach. Oh my God. Moreover, he refused the tabernacle of Joseph and chose not the tribe of Ephraim, but he chose the tribe of Judah, the Mount Zion, which he loved. And he built his sanctuary like high places, like the earth which he had established forever. He chose David, also his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds. From following the ewes, great with young, he brought him to feed Jacob his people and Israel his inheritance. So he fed them according to the integrity of his heart and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. Amen, amen. So be it. Selah, so let it be. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Whew. Amen. So you see, our Father who art in heaven is a gangster. He's a thug. He's a ladies' man. He's a gentleman. He's a husband. He is a nurturer. He is the great sorcerer. There is no magic more powerful than he. He fed them. He allowed them to offend him. He forgave them. He watered them again. And then when he saw that nothing could be moved, he weighed their hearts. And then he went in. And he didn't stop there. He came back. He made a U-turn, backed up, and he went over them again. He gave them nourishment. He gave them sleep. He watered them. He sheltered them. He gave them, and they spat. Hold up. And they spat upon the very things that he gave them. They asked for it. He gave them their desires, and they said, "Is that it? That's all." And he says, "These coons for real? I didn't have to give them back. But okay, let's give them more." And just like the witch from the breadcrumbs from Hansel and Gretel, he fattened you up. He made you fat. He made you lazy. He made you complacent. You said, "My Father loved me more than he loved you. He's going to let me be unfair in the situation. He's going to let me even lie on him." You started to bear false witness on God. You lied on God. What? got them. And see, sometimes you got to serve your enemies. Sometimes you got to feed them, bring them some water. I remember in one of them things, somebody got their feet washed. Sometimes God will let you serve your enemies. Not to overtake them, not to poison them, to create a humility within you, to create a boundary within you, to create a strength within you, to create a discipline within you. Because if you have the power, amen, hallelujah, woo, to serve your enemies, thank you, Jesus. I didn't even know this was coming when it came. If you got the power, Jesus, if you got the power to serve your enemies, formidable enemies, enemies that wanted no life, no water, no food, no meat, no blessings for you, then you got the right to instruct and lead your enemies. They will have to bend the knee, and they will have to submit themselves with silver and gold. Don't ask me. Where is that? I think that's 68, Psalm 68. Sometimes he'll put you in a situation to where it seems as though your enemies will lord over you. But then he hit that switch. He hit that light. He hit that pivot. I call your name, girl. Switch. I call your name. That was DeBarge. You never know how things are going to go. Stay strong. Keep your temperament. It's about to be some changes. Oh, yes. And for the one fallen angel that I was really sent to address. See, I came across a lot of people that God needed to address, but it was somebody's name that kept getting mentioned around me, and they were being bragged about. They were being put on a pedestal. So when I finally met the person, see, Nolan, your name had been mentioned years and years before I'd ever met you or put eyes on you or touched you physically, but for some reason that was ordained too. You thought that you met me to treat me bad. You thought you met me to abuse me. You thought you met me because I fit into your very heinous plans. And it was God that put you in my path. God is the one who put all these little intricate steps together. You would have never come across me. Your cousin didn't want you to ever put your eyes on me because she have a problem with the men around her respecting women that are not her, whether they are related to her or not. So that right there was already an issue. God was dealing with that person and that part of the family. But you, I heard your name since she used to live on East Street and complain about all the ailments that was bothering her. And as I instructed her through all of her things and tried to help her and gave her example and showed her, I would get off of work and come hang with her for a while and then go back to work. I was never in no situation where I wasn't in a teaching situation. So when I kept hearing your name and now coming full circle, you have been put on a pedestal because of the things that you are willing to do and the fact that you were affiliated with the military. So they knew that you would go hard. You had certain training. You also had certain access to certain things, and you knew how to keep your head to the money. But you were put on a pedestal and you accepted that pedestal and you got so caught up in your life that you forgot to be repurposed. There were plenty of times that you were supposed to be repurposed. When you lost your mother, you were supposed to repurpose. Those fights with your father was supposed to repurpose you. When you met me, that was supposed to repurpose and recalibrate you. However, you had too many chances to be repurposed. So God didn't allow me to be mad with you. He actually let it play out, and he told me each and every time I thought I was going to get upset that be easy. He's getting what he wants. So when it came down that you were planning and plotting my demise with my family members and the person who called themselves my little sister, although they was just using that premise to put me in a situation because this person wanted to consume me. I met this chick since she was 16 years old and had that first child. I met her when the baby daddy was taking her through there. I met her when life was taking her through there. I met her when people was living in abandonments on Federal Street. I was put in her life to teach her that yes, you can struggle, but you can also survive without compromise. However, each lesson, each blessing was refuted. I don't want that. It don't taste right. I don't want that. It don't have cinnamon. I don't want that. It has no sequence. I don't want that. My homegirls can't go. I don't want that. My homeboys can't go. I don't want that. It won't do it the way I want to do it. I don't want that. You see? So many times a person can be offered the blessings of Lord and they will keep sending it back. Sending it back. You ever took somebody to a real good restaurant that they could have never afforded and would have never been in, and then they got a nerve to get into that restaurant and start sending shit back, and you like, yeah, you about to get my food spit in. I'll never take you to a great place ever again. Mickey D's it is. That type of situation. So I was put here to witness levels and levels and levels of sin. I was witnessing siblings in a straight out war. I was witnessing people in my own family, siblings really sitting there with unalived wishes on their brain for somebody sitting across the table, somebody that they had just said I love you to, somebody they just shook hands to, somebody they just said, can you bring me some water? Somebody they said, can you make me a plate? Them same people will be in the same room. Attention. I remember a trip down south. That's when it was really getting serious. And I was paying attention. I'm always paying attention. And there was a time in Emerald Isle, underneath the bridge in Emerald Isle. There were always gentle nudges. But let's go forward with the last fallen angel. The last one before I realized, yeah, not only was that the loudest call ever, but for this same person to sit there and preach the pillars of Solomon and to ask me, am I Ruth? And turn around and wield the very devices of Satan, I knew I was on assignment. When you used God directly to mislead me, I knew I was on assignment. I said, oh yeah, he's going to fall hard. Hard. They picked you out through aesthetics. They said, oh, he that tall, she going to like it. He that strong, she going to like it. That's that job, he going to like it. Yeah. That's that car, he going to like it. That's that smile, she going to like it. That hair, they going to like it. They knew exactly what to put together to send to you, and it was you. And it was a very, very, very sad thing to see your other half fall. You're supposed to be angels joined together to do one purpose to uplift the universe, and you saw your other half fall. That's okay. God made more than one angel. And sometimes you will have to see someone that you put so much hope in, so much potential in, fall. The good thing about God is he don't work the same way each time. He gave me just enough to let go. He gave you just enough to latch on because he saw your ego. That's how God knows his children. He knew my lack thereof. He knew I could take that hit. He knew you couldn't. I told you God was a gangster. Hmm. If you'd like, Psalm 68 will tell you exactly what I just referenced, okay? All right. So, I am going to end this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time with you all, this oracle reading, because I don't always need the cards. I do the cards because I love you. I do the cards because it's tangible. I do the cards because they're funny and picture. Okay? Also, the energy is easier to read from the cards when other people don't understand quite where you're going with it. Okay? All right. So, there will be more oracle readings in the future. All right? There you go. You ready? Here we are. Oh, I wrote a song for the fallen angel as well. Like to hear it? Here it goes. Must be listening. Him or the chicks. You see, because with this whole thing, this round that we had, it was led by lust and romance and like the soap operas. So it was a lot of social engineering by way of couples. And the way the devil sold this one was through soap operas. He had the men in prison. He had the women. He had everybody who had any time during the daytime watching soap operas. And they got all these pretty clothes and all of these pretty companies and all these pretty buildings. And they had CGI and they had all of these cameras. And they said, you know what? We'll make sin, lust, and incest so fancy and so luxurious that it actually seems unattainable, to the point where we'll have people out here breaking their back and busting up their families just to be like the people on the soap operas. Everybody wants to wear those nice looking clothes. Everybody wants to be razor thin. Everybody wants to be offensive. Everybody wants to be what? The drama. So what they did was they put all this poor, nasty behavior in designer clothes and big, beautiful glass buildings. And damn it if that marketing did not work. Y'all shuffled y'all feet over there to get into it. And then y'all shuffled because y'all said it's really good and it's elite and it's really expensive to let people know. But I'm going to do it. So y'all hurried up. Victor Newman, you got somebody like Victor Newman? He cute and he got sons. I'm going to get all of them. You said, Catherine? No. I want to be like Sheila. She never dies, but she get into everything. Let's go. And y'all rushed up over there. And that was a great trick. Tricked y'all right out your own spot. By your own things. He said it's desire they want. They want men. They want money. They want fur coats. Let's do it through addictions. Let's do it through lust. Let's do it through infections. Let's give them everything and then give them the greatest gift that they can't give back. Their pride and their entry into heaven. They'll all be down here with us. We won't ever be alone ever again. Ever again. You, come here. You look good. Did I ever tell you look good on camera? Yeah. Temptation make you cry sometimes. Pisces, okay? Be aware. Okay. I'm in celestial love with an Aquarius. I'm in celestial love with an Aquarius. A love sent from above, a bond so curious. I wondered what it was, love making furious. Reach for the stars above. He loves a Gemini, no need for a sign. Your soul I can't deny. He's mine and she is mine. A union so divine. Aries, please, you bring me to my knees. Taurus, fresh, want you to kiss my neck. Leo, hold, don't care how low you go. Scorpio, blow out my back so bold. Sagittarius, tell me what you suggest. Ain't no test, you better do your best. Shoot your bow, the greatest story ever told. I'm in celestial love with an Aquarius. A love sent from above, a bond so curious. I wondered what it was, love making furious. Reach for the stars above. And until next time, this is Nyx getting your fix. Don't send for me, because somebody definitely sent for you.